Brett Allen here. Thanks for watching and listening and supporting the show. We're chatting with actor Natasha Calis today about Sky+Med and various other projects, nurses. She's done a lot of cool things. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, a question I just have to ask. You've been on 2 shows now that are medical drama procedurals. Do family members ask you for medical help? Do you do you find yourself getting put in a corner? And it's a joke, but I'm very serious though, because you've done 2 really great shows. Do you get the jargon mixed up? I don't know. It's just kind of a fun question to get us going.
No, totally. It is quite hilarious that I was on 2 back-to-back medical shows. And quite honestly, I did and have accumulated quite the medical knowledge. I wouldn't be someone who I would advise you to come to advice for, but I definitely feel like I have a better understanding at least than I did before doing these shows. So yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe one day, if you had to go see a doctor or go into an emergency room for anything, your ears might coil to what they're talking about. I asked that because I've had cast on from like Chicago Med and Grey's Anatomy and things, and they always joke and say, one of the most challenging things about being on these shows is learning all of the jargon and making it sound believable and that sort of thing. But I digress. Let's talk about Sky+Med. We've had other of your cast members on. This is a really great show. Again, having been a part of so many great projects in your career, what interested you in this and attracted you to it and made you go, this is something that I want to commit my time to as an actor and as a storyteller?
Yeah, totally. One of the things that was most attractive to me was that I could tell right away that it was going to be a really fun show. There's lots of action and adventure. The whole concept was really attractive to me. Airplanes, being out in the remoteness. It was a really cool concept. And I had never been a part of a show that I knew was going to be shooting on so many locations, and every day was going to be a new experience, and there was going to be so many exciting and important stories to tell. So that was really exciting for me when first reading and signing onto the show.
Yeah, Tom Elm said the same thing similarly, because it's just such a different show, because there are medical procedural shows and dramas and all of that, but you guys literally take it to another level with planes and helicopters.
Yeah.
How much of the flying and the stunts and all of the action I don't want to spoil the persona for people watching, but I mean, how much action do you actually get to be involved in and see? And if so, is there special training as an actor that you have to go through to sort of prepare for all of that sort of thing?
Yeah, I would say most of it, if not all of it, was pretty real and hands-on. There was a fight scene later on in the season, and all of that I did myself with the other stunt performer, and so that was a really fun and exciting thing for me to do. I'd never done a fight scene before, so working on the choreography of that and putting all the padding on and making sure everything was safe and kind of doing the dance of that all, that was a really fun thing for me to do. In terms of flying, we actually all got to go flying up in a real plane and kind of got shown the ropes as to how things look up in the air and whatnot. The pilots were sitting like more towards the cockpit, and so the real pilots were showing them how to do things. And so it was a really cool hands-on experience, actually being able to go up in the air with everyone, especially as a cast too. I think that really brought us together and showed us what it was like. The plane blowing up, there's a scene obviously where a plane explodes. That was real. I got to be there for that, which was a really cool and exciting thing to watch and be a part of. So yeah, I would say that mostly everything is real, which was just obviously so much fun.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes these shows so attractive, is that it is real and it's you doing the things. Because it's oftentimes the audience can sniff out when things don't seem believable. I mean,
Totally.
obviously there's the dialogue and the writing and the directing that makes things great. But then when you as an actor and storyteller get to do it for real, I think that just has to be exhilarating because it makes it very believable,
And I think it adds to the performance too. I think, everyone's goal as an actor is to make things real and raw and authentic. And so when we were actually put in the elements and we really are shooting in like sub below temperatures, and when, it adds to how natural the performances come across, because we're using the elements around us to really play into. So yeah, 100% I agree
Well,
with
it's
you.
all very believable, everything you've done. Do friends, family, parents have notes for you as an actor when they watch you on TV and go, honey, I don't know, that was kind of an interesting scene? Or do they just kind of take what you do as a job and kind of allow you to just have that free space as a person?
Yeah, good question. No, everybody, I'm lucky. Everybody's so supportive of me. My parents, my family, they're all my number one fans. So they are all just really exciting whenever I have a new project come out. They're just excited to watch it and they binge the whole thing. And I think I'm my own worst critic and everybody
Sure.
knows that. So any notes that, maybe anybody has, they already know that I'm all over those. So they don't need to say anything.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, one last question or two here. Again, you've just been a part of some really fun projects, of course, Nurses, that was great, Sky+Med,
Yeah.
films and things. But where did the journey begin for you, Natasha, as far as becoming an actor and storyteller? What sort of sparked your interest and made you choose this as a vocation? Because it's so different than I think what most people would know, unless they're either in the business or do this for a living and talk to you.
Right. Yeah, right. So I actually started acting when I was 7. So really young. I've always just had a really big imagination, and it was quite apparent as a kid that I loved film and acting in the world before I even really knew what it was or that I could actually be an actress. I was always just using my imagination, and I would find myself watching movies and like studying them, and then playing the characters and performing them for my parents, and going to school dressed as the character and getting, so I was always just kind of innately doing it. And I would always watch, it was interesting, I would watch movies and I would find myself like so thrown into the world that the whole world around me became whatever movie or whatever I was watching, and I would kind of live in that make believe visionary world for a few days. So it was just a very natural, fun thing that I loved doing. And my parents saw this, but they didn't want to put me into acting because they didn't want to sort of ruin what was naturally happening. And so when I was 7, I kind of put two and two together, like, hey, I could do, like, mom, dad, can I do this? And so they got me an agent, and then yeah, I started out doing commercials, and then soon after, I started doing movies, and absolutely fell in love with it. And I just became alive on set, and it was just my favorite thing in the world. So I'm really grateful that I found my passion so early on in life, and have been able to keep doing it, because yeah, it's something I just have always really loved doing.
Yeah, and you do well at it. So there you go. You can't ask for more than that. So again, one last question. Again, everybody's journey is different in this industry. Some are big steps, some are small steps. What was that one project for you that just hit and you knew? I mean, obviously it's so unpredictable, but to focus on the positive of it, the one project for you, Natasha, that hit and made you sort of go, okay, solidified in your mind, okay, this is definitely something I'm meant to do.
Yeah, honestly, I think the first time I was ever on set, I'm going to answer this question with two answers, because the first time I stepped onto set was for a Christmas movie. It was called Christmas Caper. I was 8 years old, and it was the most fun thing ever. Like, I loved it with my whole heart, and I think that was really the moment that I knew that was my first movie. Before that, I had been doing commercials, but having on a real movie set, it was like I fell in love, and I knew that this is what I wanted to do forever. But then also, I think the project that sort of solidified that for me was a couple of years later. It was a movie called The Possession. And that was sort of my like biggest role and movie to date. And it was just the most incredible experience. And I learned so much about myself as an actor. And I think that's that movie leveled me up, I think, as an actor, even in just my own head too, in terms of things that I learned I was capable of doing and emotions that I was capable of unlocking. And the director, Old Bornadell, was just, he was so incredible. And I learned so much from him, and the communication between, actors and directors there was just, it really, really opened up my world. So I think that was the movie and the role that really did it for me, and taught me so much that I took so much away from that movie that I still resort back to, even now. So.
Yeah, that's a great movie, especially for Halloween season.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't seen that movie in quite some time. I remember being terrified. It's a good film, and the director is just amazingly off the charts. Well, everybody, please watch Sky+Med if you have not available to watch it now, nurses, and just hop on to the old internet and check out some of these great projects Natasha's been a part of. And of course, shout out to your team, Conscious Hollywood, for giving us a few minutes to chat. Thank you so much, Natasha. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure as well.